remember that we did a video game review on Dragon Ball Z Battle of Z for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and unfortunately our review was very mixed to negative, and for good reason.
Well, this year, Bandai Namco, who of course is best known for their awesome Tales of franchise and the fighting game series such as Tekken and Soul Calibur, brings us a brand new Dragon Ball game, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, developed by Dimps.
Now, we didn't really know what to make of Dragon Ball Xenoverse because it pretty much came completely out of left field. I mean, we didn't know anything about it until when we were hit about it. Now, to us, we kind of felt like the Dragon Ball Z games kind of peaked at Raging Blast because we felt that the last few ones weren't exactly great.
Well, this game borrows heavily from Battle of Z as far as gameplay goes. Now, that in and itself may be the deciding factor on whether you like or dislike this game. And unfortunately, we do have to report that the same errors and flaws that were in Battle of Z are present here. However, there is more to like about this version than last year's.
Definitely what's presented at face value. Anyway, here is our review of Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
You know how Dragon Ball Z games for the most part like telling the same story over and over again? Well, Xenoverse finds a very unique way to get around that. It turns out that some new villains have been running amok with the Dragon Ball timeline, resulting in devastating consequences, as well as some, well, sadistically funny scenarios.
Oh! That would have made for a good episode. To combat this, Future Trunks from the Time Nest, which is owned by the Supreme Kai of Time, summons the dragon Shenron to bring forth a new powerful warrior to set things right. And, well, that warrior is you. Through character creation, you can choose between gender and race. There are 5 available races you can select from: Saiyan, Earthling, Namekian, the Frieza species, and the Majins. We're willing to bet that most if not everyone's choice will be Saiyan, because they can eventually do something the others cannot. Take a minute, I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Naturally, no matter the choice, each one has its pros and cons, so there is more than likely a balance between them, as only certain races can perform various tactics. The choice is yours. From there, you can alter certain looks about your character, giving them a personal touch. One downside is that, compared to many other character creations, this one is very limited. Adjusting color, facial features, and hairstyles and voices is just about it. And it can't be altered later, so make sure that this is the one you want.
With Trunks acting as your narrative, he and new friends will help you on your quest to correct the altered timelines, while trying to find the new villains responsible. So even though you in a certain way are playing the old scenarios again, there's an interesting twist of fate going on both inside and outside, which ultimately does make for an original and very interesting story that only gets better the more you progress. Outside of the main story, you will find that this is a fully developed Dragon Ball MMORPG, and the Time Nest acts as the hub world lobby for any and all players to roam around, in a very similar Phantasy Star Online kind of setting, complete with shopping districts, team creation, offline side quest missions, versus matches for local co-op and online, as well as many online related features like teaming up with friends and forming a party to do challenges offered by the game's servers.
Occasionally, either by progressing in the game's story or completing challenges, you may find DBZ characters wandering around the hub. If you choose to do so, talking to them will allow you to train under them and obtain signatures only that they can do. Doing so, of course, requires some level grinding. Going through the game solo is definitely a difficult venture in itself, so playing online with others is definitely a must to ensure that boredom and frustration doesn't kick in. Despite having a lot to do, for the larger majority, you will spend a lot of your time outside the story using trial and error to complete challenges to gain levels to increase your attributes. Doing so will allow you to survive longer in combat and dish out more powerful attacks, not to mention be able to purchase more powerful gears and attacks as well. We mentioned before that all of the errors from Battle of Z also remain here.
By that we mean the fighting itself really isn't well polished. As an MMO, you can imagine how well the statistics of combat are, as enemies above you in power can often no-sell your moves despite the attack, and ultimately brush you aside. There are also plenty of times where the targeting system and the camera are your biggest problem, as aerial combat has always been a major issue with this series. more so in 3D environments. As in any good type of anime game, there is usually a lot of flash with little substance. Not that there's anything majorly wrong with that, these games can still be a lot of fun. While Battle of Z to many of us was a major dud, Dragon Ball Xenoverse is a fairly big step in the right direction. The input of an original story surrounded by a nicely built hub world with lots of stuff to do on the side will ensure you that you will be busy with the game for a long time, online and offline. Just be prepared because this game, while at first doesn't seem too bad, does get relentlessly difficult. The controls are very simple to pick up too, granted it's the same as Battle of Z, where your powers are designated to trigger commands, with jumping, weak, and heavy attacks and key blasts set to your face buttons.
Online and offline, you can play as many familiar faces from Dragon Ball Z, complete with their own attacks and combos, creating some diversity and fun with friends to play in versus matches, 1-on-1, or 3-on-3. However, playing as them won't do your character any good in gaining levels, so you won't be playing them as often. Fortunately, you can recruit them and many other NPCs to go with you on your side missions, if you find them too difficult. Of course, you will have to pay them in a game currency to do so. As usual, the animations, graphics, sound, and music all do justice to Akira Toriyama's creation. The original animation made for the game is beautiful to watch, and it's enjoyable to play an original story while seeing the old ones play out differently.
Now, if you're a die-hard Dragon Ball Z fan, then this game is right up your alley. No matter how hard the difficulty curve is or the challenges that they throw at you, you will more than likely stick to it through the end, especially with the online components. Now, if you're a casual Dragon Ball Z fan or a casual game player, you might still be able to get a solid enjoyment out of this as long as you have the online support there with you to help you suppress the frustration and the difficulty that you are no doubt going to face. Now, if you're not a Dragon Ball Z fan, obviously, but if you're not a fan of RPG general types of gameplay or level grinding or that sort of thing, then, well, Dragon Ball Xenoverse is not the game for you.
Now, this game still contains the flaws that has plagued the entire series, but Dragon Ball Xenoverse does keep things fresh and entertaining.
Well, the word is out, and with that, we are going to give Dragon Ball Xenoverse a solid 7 out of 10. Now, if you disagree with us, feel free to comment in the section below about how we're biased Superman fans, that we have no place to judge Dragon Ball Z games, and how we're stupid and wrong. Because Lord knows, you can't like both, right? Well, guys, thank you so much for enjoying the Brotherhood of Gaming video game show. I'm your host, William Morris.
I'm your co-host, Eugene Morris.
Now, before you go, please, you can show us your support by subscribing, hitting that favorite button, liking the video, and if you want to support the show, it's completely optional. You can donate to our Patreon. All of the links are in the description below. You can follow us on Twitch for live streams, our Facebook and Twitter for updates on what's going on with the show, and of course, there's the brand new gameplay channel where we let's play these brand new games that we happen to review. So, if you want to subscribe and see that stuff, we'll see you there. Until next time, see ya, gamers.